Welcome back. Once again, it is time for the Golden Age of DC Comics 365 Days, where I take this well-loved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since and has been a constant source of comic book shop-style conversations, the kind I wish to recreate today here with you right now. Pull up a chair to our coffee table. Bring a cup of whatever. Let me know what you're shoving under your nose there, Chief. Pal, killer, sizzle chest, tough guy, whatever. I love a good cuppa. So yeah, this is our coffee table. Thanks for joining to the conversation once again. This is our daily conversation about comic books. We are using this 365 days book for its intended purpose. We're going to open up to today's date, which is December the 21st. We're going to look at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. That's right. We've been doing it all year long. We're going to end this year strong. And there's only about, 10 more pages left in this book to cover. And we got more and more plans for next year. We're going to keep on talking about comic books. 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. Turn on those notifications. I guarantee you will figure out how to tell time. It's 3 p.m. in Boston. The show must be on. Let's join. And I love making the premieres if I can. Usually I'm getting out of work. Could be working late. I could be underground in the subway. But usually I'm on my way home and I get to catch my own premiere and see my own live chat. And it's really entertaining, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation. So if I can make my own live chat, I am blessed and I'm always honored and thrilled to see you all there. And please, the comments, keep them coming. Keep the conversation going. I'm loving this. I'm glad you are too. Our show. This is you are the most important ingredient in this recipe. I'm loving it. Loving it. So let's get to it. I hope that you're feeling awesome and doing awesome and clobbering your problems and not being clobbered by them. Let's see. The Golden Age of DC Comics runs between 1938 and 1955. The Silver Age between 1956 and 1970. The Bronze Age between 1970 and 1985. I'm a Bronze Age baby myself. And the Copper Age begins in 1985 and goes to 1993. Pretty short, huh? And then we've been in some kind of modern age ever since. All according to and defined in the glossary of the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. It's good to have standards and use them. And today we're going to be... I'm going to another industry standard I haven't talked about yet because I really have been kind of uninformed. And I'm keep on learning things about this great hobby of ours. And yeah, let's get to it. Awesome. I'm going to open up to today's date. It is December the 21st. It is the first day of winter. Better put your booties on. It's going to be a cold one. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's from the cover of Comic Cavalcade, issue number 31, February, March of 1949. Winter begins. The frequently fabulous Fauntleroy Fox fails to perceive what all the other dumb animals have noticed at once. He's about to run into a brick wall constructed courtesy of his unseen enemy, Crawford Crow. I thought they were friends. The Fox and the Crow. This is the licensed property called The Fox and the Crow. And the DC made lots of money making funny books out of a kid's property that came over from a cartoon. It was called The Fox and the Crow. They were a pair of I'm reading this from, you guessed it, the Wiki. That's right. The Fox and the Crow are a pair of anthropomorphic cartoon characters. The characters, the refined but gullible Fauntleroy Fox and the streetwise Crawford Crow, appear in a series of animated short subjects released by Screen Gems through its parent company, Columbia Pictures. The first film was in 1941, and they ran till about 1950 or so. Yeah, they're a 9-year run of animated animated comedies with human-like animals, anthropomorphic. That's Bugs Bunny. That's Mickey Mouse. That's any animal with a human quality, and such as. And so, yeah, this is just, it's the Fox and the Crow. Let's just look at the art one more time. Yep. Uh-oh. You can see the crow over there with his bowler hat, and he's assembling this brick wall. Dude, this is what it's like to play Fortnite, huh? Seriously. I mean, this predicted Fortnite, by how many years? By 70 years or so? Yeah, maybe they should, like... I watch... It's some of the most entertaining stuff, just, like, chilling out. Like, what do you chill out to? Besides this conversation, like, your shows that you like to just, veg out to. There's not a lot of thought involved. For me, that's watching other YouTubers play Fortnite. It's very entertaining. I can do that for hours. Like, watch Jane Theory, watch Fat Steven Seagal. I can also watch Az play video games. I've watched him play the Witcher. That was so much fun. Yeah, I won't play these games, but I can apparently tune in for a few hours and chill out and just mindlessly just be part of watching someone else play a video game for an hour or two. That happens to me. That's how I spend time. And it's winter time now. Officially, it's gonna find someone to snuggle with. See how many bunnies I see in the morning going out from here on out. But it's also, tonight is the shortest day of sunlight. Yeah. And then the sun returns to us. And the seasons proceed. Isn't that so? I wanted to talk about something I keep feeling like I'm educating myself on my favorite hobby here, which is great. Because if, like, I'm going to be putting myself out here on YouTube, this is... I never pretend to be an expert. I know that much. I'm just a fan. Some of the best parts of being a comic book fan is it's all brand new if you haven't gotten to it yet. I live by that one. Also, that a good comic book will have you reaching for a dictionary or thesaurus, or an encyclopedia. I mean, I always felt like I learned funny, great words out of old comic books. That any good book will have you reaching for, a secondary source to look up that reference. And, but yeah, I often talk about, okay, have you ever heard of the term direct market? And have you ever heard me talk about some fabled glory day of being a child and having comic books at something called a spinner rack or a newsstand? And that wasn't the comic book shop. Now, comic book shops were coming into their own when I was a kid in the 80s. They're more and more opened as time went on. I mean, I live in Boston, and so I literally have several. There's two chains. There was one called Newbury Comics. They don't do comics anymore, but they used to have long boxes and back issues, like way back in the day. And New England Comics. And so those are just two, like, franchise places that just, New England Comics had what was a comic book shop. And they had actually an original comic book character that they printed themselves. You may have heard of them, The Tick. Yeah, that's an NEC New England Comics original. That's I love that level of, that was one of my comic book stores. Yes, one of my comic book stores, shops, especially the Quincy one. I used to be going to the old one at the Rotary. That's how far back I go. And that, and the Alston shop, and most definitely the Harvard Square shop too. And but yeah, so I'm blessed to I've always had comic book shops, around. A Million Year Picnic is in Harvard Square. That's New England's oldest comic book shop. So, but that predates the direct market. I mean, there came there is some kind of dividing line in comics history when it comes to something that we call direct market. But you might have heard me talk about in the past, because Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age comic books, okay, they were sold at spinner racks and newsstands on eye level with small people who had something called pocket change, and that was it's what it was. That was the marketplace, and I remember seeing paperback books and comic books with part of their cover or entire cover ripped off. Now, comic books, they would like basically cut a quarter of this page off, and you can get them for cheap. I remember seeing that all the time, and I never really understood. I thought that, and I was under. I remember paperbacks with their covers off. There was a secondhand store in Sully that had a huge bin of them. They were like $2 for $1. I loved reading. Especially if you can get an adaptation of a popular movie, they would usually have photos right in the center of it. And it's just a great way. Life before, VCRs. Seriously. So I was under the wrong impression. I thought that comic books, you ripped the cover off and you gave it back to the publisher to be turned to pulp so they could be recycled into new comic books. Okay, I've been straightened out on this by a little RTFM. Read the manual. All right, this is one of the reasons I love this show. I keep learning so much about it. So I was very close, but I was pretty much wrong on the recycling, angle. Okay, now this comes from the CGC. What is the CGC? Okay, it's the CGC, a certified guarantee company, is the world's leading third-party grading service to comic books, trading cards, video games, magazines, concert posters, and more. These are the people that have the famous slab with the number on the top of it, and they are an authority. They really are, along with Overstreet. These are just this is how we establish their uniqueness, and their condition as well. And that's what we're getting into more and more, especially in next year's show, is about the condition of comic books and how to grade comic books. So yeah, this is from the CGC Q&A forums. I remember forums. You remember forums? I love forums. This is J.R. Webhead, and he posted this in January 12th of 2017. So he's asking the same kind of questions we're asking. Check this out. He's like, "Hi, everyone." He posted this on November 19th, 2017, edited. That's my birthday. Aw, shucks. "I have another question for everyone about stripped cover returns. Does anyone know anything about them? Like the following. When do they start doing this to comics? Who did they do this? Or who did they do this? I heard that the mob profited this off somehow. And I have they attached an issue of Batman, which has the top of it cut off. That included the price and its cover date and the logo. So it's like the top quarter of the issue itself. And here's a great answer. Batman One fan from Omaha, Nebraska, answered this on my birthday, November 19th, 2017. "Back in the day, comic books were sold to distributors and retailers on a returnable basis, meaning they sold what they could and were able to return the unsold copies for credit. Since shipping back comics that would be destroyed anyway was cost prohibitive, retailers were allowed to strip off the cover, or in many cases just the top third or so of their cover, and return those as proof of destruction and receive full credit for the return, just as if they had returned the entire book. Legally, the retailer was then obligated to destroy the remaining copies. That probably happened in some cases, but most of the time, the retailer sold the rural juror comics at a discount. So technically, every remainder comic book is still that still exists was supposed to have been destroyed, and it was reported to the publisher as such. Also, that's also why most comics from the Golden and Silver Age have a paragraph line in the indicia stating that the comic was not to be sold with any of its part of its markings removed. It was likely a waste of ink, except for the publishers. Nobody cared. If you were a kid back then, you could likely buy 2, 3, or 4 remaindered copies for the price of one new comic. The retailer didn't really care how much he sold the remaindered books for, since he had already been reimbursed for them from the publisher. And in essence, the remainder. I hope you're having fun too. I am. Comics cost him nothing, meaning that however much he sold them for was pure profit, and something about how the mob got involved. Yeah, exactly. Don Fanucci begins to get his beak wet. Isn't this right, Vito Corleone? That's right. You're out of coffee too. That's a Godfather reference. Okay, but what is a direct market? Okay, the direct market is our comic book store, our comic book shop. And things have changed because now comic book stores got their sources between just very few places. The direct market is the dominant distribution and retail network for American comic books. The concept of the direct market was created in the 70s by Phil Suling. The network consists of 4 major comics distributors: Lunar and UCS, which distributes DC Comics since 2020; Penguin Random House Publisher Services, which since October 21 distributes Marvel and IDW. There's Diamond Comics Distributor, which distributes most, if not all, non-DC, Marvel, IDW comics, having exclusive deals with those publishers. And the majority of comic specialty stores. And but here, the defining characteristics of the direct market, however, is non-returnability. Unlike bookstore and newsstand distribution, which operates on a sale or return model, direct market distribution prohibits distributors and retailers from returning their unsold merchandise for refund. In exchange for more favorable ordering terms, retailers and distributors must gamble that they can accurately predict their customers' demand for the product. Each month's surplus inventory, meanwhile, could be archived and sold later, driving the development of an organized market for quote-unquote back issues. And those are the direct market. Quite literally, your local comic book shop. I've got several. I go to one in particular because it's in my village. It's in my village square, and I'm so grateful that they lasted through the coof and lockdown 2020. It was really touch and go there. We lost a lot of comic book shops because of that, and I'm for one. I'm for a healthy comic book industry, the healthiest we can muster. Whether it's the attitudes of our creators or it's the attitudes of us, the readers ourselves. I mean, the middle ground. There should be holy ground, Highlander. It should be our local comic book shop, and that's a Highlander reference. You can't fight on holy ground, and I think we should preserve the local comic book shops as much as we can. And that's I'm once again in love with the floppy, with the magazine, and I don't find floppy to be a pejorative. I need to figure this out. Why is floppy negative? Put it in. Oh, why did my floppy disk fail? Well, this is about, why is floppy negative as comic book? A note on the term floppy. This is Trouble with Comics on Tumblr. I don't pay attention to Tumblr, or, you know, it's, but no, the term is not meant, oh, okay, it's someone in favor of it. Yay, good. And something from Comic Beat in 2015 saying the floppy abides. And, okay, cool. I mean, I don't know where I heard that or why. If you know why floppy is a disagreeable term to define a random individual single issue of a comic book, let me know. And you know, but yeah, oh my goodness. So this is like, there is no more marketplace of that spinner rack. It's not how it's done anymore. And comic books are just basically sold in these specialty stores. And $5 per cover, $5 per funny book is becoming very common now. It's up $4.99. Like $3.99 is the median, according to the Comicron median comic book year by year. You know, as of 2019, it was $3.99 an issue. It's probably about $4.99 now, and I like to see that. You know, in this list of updates here. Wow, I love this site. I love this site. I love like just being able to get information just like that. Boom. But yeah, that's what they. So when you're entering these comic book conversations, what does this mean? The direct market. It's your comic book shop. That's it. I mean, and like, the comic book shop is probably one of the most important parts of being a comic book fan in the here and now. I would tell you to stop, drop, giggle, and get out to your local comic book shop and spend some money. We need to help keep each other in business. This is you must be aware that you and the Naboo form a symbiotic relationship. You know, this is Obi-Wan and Phantom Menace. And Obi-Wan's never wrong, right? From a certain point of view. We speak geek. We've been talking about comic books, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would love to be part of your YouTube day. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily comic book content here, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. Turn on those notifications. You will eventually learn to tell time by subscribing to this method. I guarantee it. Money back guarantee, right? Thank you so very much. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow in those funny pages. Cheers. Bye-bye.